Hey guys, today we will be covering a full tutorial on cybersecurity. So in this tutorial you can learn everything about cybersecurity from scratch. So I will be covering the following topics in this tutorial. The first one is basics of cybersecurity. After that, types of cyber attacks, penetration testing, how to become an ethical hacker, and finally we'll wrap up with cybersecurity interview questions. Now guys, this tutorial also includes some interesting facts and figures that are related to cybersecurity and technology, along with top cyber attacks in history. So watch the video till the end to find out. And also guys, if you have any doubts, do comment below and we will be answering them always. So now, let's get into the tutorial.
Are you someone who enjoys using free Wi-Fi in public spots? Have you ever wondered how many people use the same public network at the same time? What if one of them gains access to all your personal data? Using a free Wi-Fi doesn't seem that secure now, does it? This is exactly where cybersecurity comes into the scenario. Hi folks, my name is Devi, and today I'm here with yet another interesting and informative video on cybersecurity for you guys. In this video, I'll be introducing you to the world of cybersecurity and also discuss the CIA triad. Then we will try and understand why we need cybersecurity, what are the various cyber attacks that one needs to watch out for, and we will explore cybersecurity from a career perspective. But before moving on with the video, it would mean a lot to us if you could hit the like button below. Also, do subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss out on our amazing tech videos. Alright, so here's the list of topics that we will be covering in today's video. We will start off with a brief introduction to cybersecurity and also discuss the CIA triad. Then we will discuss why we need cybersecurity, following which we will look at the different types of cyber attacks that one needs to avoid. And finally, we will see what job roles are offered in the field of cybersecurity. And I'll also mention some of the topmost cybersecurity certifications that will help you secure these job roles. Let us begin with simple definition. Cybersecurity is a practice which involves keeping one's system, network, or data safe and secure from all kinds of damage and threats. It is a technique of protecting digital networks and data from any unauthorized access. Be it large enterprises or small companies, cybersecurity holds great value when it comes to safeguarding their data or assets against cyber attacks, data breaches, privacy invasion, identity thefts, etc. Now, while talking about cybersecurity, you must know about the CIA triad. The CIA triad comprises of the principles of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three principles act as the foundation, or you could say the pillars of an organization's security infrastructure. Let us see what each of these principles refer to. The first one is confidentiality. It involves restricting access to the data, that is, only authorized users can access the data. This ensures that the data remains safe from any outsider or unauthorized individual. This is usually done by protecting the data with help of passwords, which are known only to those in charge of handling the data. For example, e-commerce portals ensure the confidentiality of their customer data, such as their bank account details, contact information, etc. The second principle is that of integrity. It ensures that the data stored in the system is modified only by authorized users. This also means that the data doesn't get altered incorrectly by any source and thus always remains reliable and authentic. For example, banking institutions ensure that none of their customer data gets tampered with and remains consistent unless changes are made by authorized users themselves. The third and last principle is availability. This principle refers to the availability of the resources and services to authorized users at any given point of time. Authorized users can demand access to these resources or data whenever and however they want, based on certain service agreements. In case of cyber attacks, hardware failures, etc., an organization might have to suffer great losses. For example, if a banking organization fails to provide data access to its users on time, then this could certainly lead to customer dissatisfaction, which would harshly impact the bank's reputation. Alright, so now we have discussed what is cybersecurity and the CIA triad. which forms the base for it. Let us now look at why we need cybersecurity. Suppose you work at an organization which deals with storing data in data centers. One day while you are at work, you suddenly realize that there's been some sort of a data breach. Some confidential data is missing from the systems. You're simply blown out of your mind. Like, how did this even happen? Well, this is what a cyber attack looks like. Confidential data getting in the hands of any unauthorized individual. And once the data is lost or tampered with, it cannot be retrieved. Hence, one needs to apply cybersecurity mechanisms in order to protect data. This is exactly why we need cybersecurity. Cybersecurity safeguards all data and computerized systems from any malicious threats and possible damage. But if you think that only large organizations remain vulnerable to such threats, then let me tell you that even a common man using internet for his personal reasons remains equally vulnerable to all kinds of cyber attacks. So next time before you use the internet, make sure to secure your system and be smart enough to identify any suspicious activity that you come across. In order to ensure cybersecurity, one needs to be aware of the various kinds of cyber attacks that might take place. Here are some of the most common cyber attacks that can take place. We have malware attacks, phishing attacks, DOS and DDoS attacks, SQL injection, man-in-the-middle attacks, password cracking, and many more. Let us discuss each one of these attacks briefly. The first one is the malware attack. Now, these attacks take place when a user downloads any corrupted files on his or her system. These corrupted files or applications are malwares or malicious software, which are intended to corrupt the user's system and data. For example, suppose you want to watch any movie and you decide to download it from a website. But upon downloading the file, your system suddenly begins to malfunction. This is a result of a malware attack. Some of the popular malwares are Trojan, ransomware, spyware, etc. One of the most common cyber attacks is the phishing attack. In this attack, users are tricked by sending malicious links or emails where the attacker disguises himself as any trusted organization, such as banks, etc. Now, when a user opens these emails or clicks on these links, his system is hacked, and he is then tricked by the attacker to hand over valuable data or information. So the next time you receive any mail which seems suspicious, think before you respond to it. The denial of service or DOS attack occurs when the attacker floods the target system or network with service requests, which therefore overloads the target and disrupts the service. The distributed denial of service attack occurs when the attacker carries out a DOS attack by compromising multiple systems at once. Despite the similarity in their nature, the DDoS attacks are harder to detect as compared to the DOS attacks. Another type of cyber attack is the SQL injection. Databases are handled via SQL queries, and these queries are executed via HTML forms. If an unauthorized user gets access to these forms due to a lack of secured permissions in the database, then it leads to a cyber attack known as the SQL injection. These attacks involve exploitation of databases, unauthorized data modification, etc. The next type of cyber attack we have is the man-in-the-middle attack. In this attack, the attacker tries to intercept a conversation between two parties and tries to gather personal or confidential data. Such attacks can be avoided these days with the help of end-to-end encryption method, which is used by most email and chatting platforms. The last type of cyber attack that we'll discuss is the password cracking attack. In these attacks, the attacker tries to crack or guess the user's password. Credential stuffing, dictionary attack, keylogger attack are some of the examples of password cracking technique. If you want to avoid these attacks or protect your system from them, then here are some tips for you. Firstly, you need to start using strong passwords to protect your data. Make sure your passwords are a combination of alphabets, numbers, special characters, upper as well as lowercase letters, etc. Secondly, it's important to install and deploy next-generation firewalls in your system. Now, a firewall is simply a device which checks the incoming and outgoing traffic on a network. Next-generation firewalls consist of advanced features which ensure higher degree protection to your system. Another important thing to do is to ensure that your system remains up to date at all times. Often these system updates come in with built-in advanced security features. You must always pay attention to any website or link before clicking on it or using it. At times there are certain websites that seem suspicious and therefore you must refrain from visiting them. The last point is that no matter how convenient or money-saving it seems, kindly avoid using public networks unless absolutely necessary. Moving on further, let us look at the career scope one has in cybersecurity. There are various job profiles available in the field of cybersecurity. As a fresher, you can go for roles such as IT technician, network engineer, system administrator, etc. Once you have gained a few years of work experience, then you can surely switch to roles such as security analyst, IT auditor, penetration tester, etc. And if you have been working for a long time in the field, then it's time for you to try for executive level roles such as Chief Information Security Officer, Cybersecurity Architect, etc. Also, in case you are wondering if cybersecurity jobs are well paid, let me tell you that the average salary of a cybersecurity professional ranges from $90,000 to $125,000. And also, here are some of the topmost certifications that will help you secure these job roles. There's the CompTIA Security Plus 501 certification by CompTIA and the Certified Ethical Hacking Training by the EC Council. Now, these certifications can help you become penetration testing experts in any organization. Next one is the CISSP, which is a management level certification, and it requires you to have a 5-year working experience in the cybersecurity field. This one allows you to become a Chief Information Security Officer in an organization. Then we have the CISA certification by an organization named ISACA. And by doing this certification, you can gain skills which allow you to audit systems, etc. Next up, we have the CISM certification, which enables you to gain managerial skills so that you can easily manage the security system in an organization. Lastly, we have the CRISC certification, which is associated with risk assessment and building risk control strategies for an organization. And with this, we have come to the end of this video. We have learned about what cybersecurity means and its building foundation, that is the CIA Triad. We have discussed the need for cybersecurity, and we have also had a brief overview of different types of cyber attacks and how to prevent them. Lastly, we have looked at the various job roles one can opt for in the field of cybersecurity and the certifications needed to secure these jobs. If you find this video helpful or interesting, then please don't forget to hit the like button. You can also share your suggestions or queries if you have any in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our upcoming tech videos. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Lakshay and I am a research analyst at Scalar Academy and I am a cybersecurity aspirant. So I am here to share my knowledge about types of cyber attacks that we see in our day-to-day lives and what are the cyber attacks that we have. So first of all, let's see the agenda for today. At first, I'm going to tell you about what are cyber attacks. So what exactly are cyber attacks and who does the cyber attacks. After that, I'm going to move on to history of cyber attacks. So I will talk about the greatest cyber attacks that are done in the history and what impact they had at that time. After that, I'm going to move to motivation behind the cyber attacks. So what motivates the hackers to hack into an account or hack into anyone's PC or hack into an organization? I'm going to tell you what can be the motivation behind that. And finally, I'm going to move on to the types of cyber attacks that are there and how they happen and how can you avoid them as well. Okay, so now let's start with our first topic. So what exactly are cyber attacks? So a cyber attack is an assault launched by cyber criminals using one or more computers against a single or multiple computers, or it can be multiple networks as well. A cyber attack can maliciously disable computers, it can steal data, or use a breached computer as a launch point for other attacks as well. Cyber criminals use a variety of methods. To name a few, I have malware, phishing, ransomware, denial of service, and there are other methods as well that I'm going to talk about later in the session. Okay, so let's start with our new next topic, that is what are the history that are there behind the cyber attacks. So the first one I have is in 1999 NASA had a cyber attack. So in 1999, 15-year-old James Jonathan, he was able to hack and shut down NASA's computers for 21 days. That's a big number, right? And around 1.7 million software were downloaded during the attack as well. Now that costed NASA around $41,000 for repairs at that time, and that was very huge. The next attack that is there is that's Estonia cyber attack that happened in 2007. So to be precise, in April 2007, Estonia witnessed what is thought to be the first cyber attack on an entire country. Now, during which about 58 Estonian websites went offline, including websites of government, banks, and media outlets as well. Now, this was also considered as the greatest cyber attacks in history. The third that I have is a cyber attack on Sony PlayStation. Now, this is very interesting for you because everyone knows about Sony PlayStation. A cyber attack on Sony PlayStation was there in April 2011 that claimed the personal information of all 77 million users that were there in PlayStation at that time. Now, that is also a big cyber attack that happened. After this, the next timeline that I have is 2014, where a cyber attack happened on Yahoo. So Yahoo also witnessed one of the biggest cyber attacks of the year when 500 million accounts were compromised. However, it was reported that basic information and passwords were only stolen, whereas bank information, account information was not stolen, and that was a relief to Yahoo. And that costed them a lot of money for this. Now, the next thing that I have is WannaCry ransomware attack, and everyone is aware about ransomware attack and how it happens. So it was one of the biggest ransomware of all time that took place in 2017, when around 200,000 computers were affected in more than 150 countries. Now, this outbreak had a massive impact across several industries and had a global cost of about 6 billion pounds. So as the year grows, our hacking grows as well. So after that, the last cyber attack that I have is the Marriott hotels. You must have heard about Marriott hotels, and they are very famous. So a cyber attack was lurking in the shadows for quite a while when Marriott acquired the Starwood Hotels Group, and it did not come into the light until 2018. However, by then the attacker continued to have access to personal information of guests. An estimated 339 million guests have had their data compromised at that time. Now, this led the UK's privacy watchdog to find the Marriott hotels of 18.4 million pounds. Now, that was very massive that happened. Now we have some interesting facts about cyber attacks and how it happened and what was the timeline. Now let's see what motivates them, what motivates the hackers to get it. So in order to effectively against cyber attack, it is very important to understand the purpose and motivation behind all the attacks. Even though the methods and purposes of cyber attacks may vary, the major motivations can be categorized in these 6 types that I will tell you. The first one is very similar and most popular, that is for financial gain. So this is the most likely reason an organization gets attacked. Nearly 3/4 of cyber attacks are essentially for financial gains, such as stealing money directly from financial account, stealing credit card information, causing data breaches, demanding ransom, and etc. Many companies went offline after refusing to pay the ransom and succumbed to the threat of blackmailers as well. So yeah, this is very true and it happens a lot. The next is radical hackerism. Now, this is a term that you guys must not be aware about. So this is a group of people who usually who are usually very boring teens and who seek a surge in adrenaline, or they want to try something new or put their anger or frustration on schools, institutions, or even the people that they had wrong with, or they have some personal grudges on some people. So in addition, some people are also seeking attention and respect from peers as well. So radical hackerism is largely ignored by companies because their purpose does not involve any financial affair. It's just to it's just to what do you say, release their frustration, or it's just to lower their anger. So it's not for financial gain, and they hack because of their personal reasons. So next I have is cyber warfare. So it is a war on internet and information flow. It can be state-backed cyber attacks are being used as means of suppressing government critics, any internal oppositions, and as well as undermining important financial, health, or infrastructure services in enemy countries as well. So these attacks are backed by nation states, which means they are well funded and well planned activities performed by tech savvy professionals. The next one that I have is for business competitions. So DDoS attacks that I'm going to talk about in the next topic. So DDoS attacks are increasingly being used as competitive business tools nowadays. Some of these attacks are designed to prevent competitors from participating in major events, while others target the complete shutdown of offline business for months. In earlier case, the idea was to cause disruption and encourage competitors, customers to flock to their site instead of going to the other company and negating their competition and damaging their reputation as well. So the next one that I have is for intellectual challenge. So similarly to radical hackerism, this group of people commit cyber attacks seeking attention and respect from people or peers through challenging network security. So these types of hackers played a stereotype of the socially awkward loner who lives in a virtual world and turn to hack for both intellectual challenge and for adrenaline rush or breaking into both the networks as well. So the next one, and that is very scary, that is for making a social or political view. So hackers can attack for expressing their criticism of everything from governments, from politicians, from society, from big brand companies, and from current affairs as well. They tend to attack their targets, such as crashing their website when they disagree with them. Compared to other types of attackers, they are less technical and tend to attack their targets with pre-made tools. Okay, so now you understand what is the motive behind these cyber attacks. Let's see what exactly are their types. So first of all, I'm going to name them. So we have malware attacks, we have phishing attacks, man in the middle attacks, denial of service, SQL injections, we have password attacks, and finally we'll wrap up with rootkits. So by naming them, let's start with malware attacks and how let's dig a deep inside them and know them better. So for the malware attack, so the term malware, it encompasses various types of attacks including spyware, viruses, and worms. Malware uses a vulnerability to breach a network when a user clicks a planted dangerous link or email attachment, which is used to install malicious software inside the system. So malware and malicious files inside a computer systems can deny access to your critical components of network. It can obtain information by retrieving data from the hard drive, or it can also disrupt the system or even rendering it inoperable. So malware is so common that there is a large variety of modus that is in operation right now. Okay, so let's move on to the next type of attack that we have is phishing, and this is very interesting and this is very important. Phishing attacks are extremely common and involve sending mass amounts of fraudulent emails to suspecting users disguised as coming from a reliable source. The fraudulent emails often have the appearance of being legitimate but link the recipient to a malicious file or script designed to grant attackers access to your device to control it or gather recon or install malicious files or scripts. They can extract data like user information, financial infos, and many more. Phishing attacks can also take place like from social networks or online platforms, online communities, direct messages, or from hidden content as well. So phishers often leverage social engineering and other public information sources to collect info about your work, your interest, and activities that gives attackers an edge in convincing that you are clicking on the right link and you believe that that's the right link that you are clicking. So phishing attacks can also take place like via phone call or a text message. This post highlights additional of phishing attacks as well. Okay, so let me give you an example to get a good example. So you must have gotten an email something like this from any bank, that hackers use name of the banks that are known there. So like, dear customer, you have won 5 lakh rupees, and if you want this money, click on the link below and give all your details. So in this scenario, what happens is, when you see name of the bank, if you are into that bank and you see that banks are sending this message and you have actually won it, you will first of all click on the link. After that, when you go on the link, they will ask your personal information and all your account details as well. So as soon as you put your account details and everything, they will take out all the money that is there into your account. Okay, so that's how phishing works. So to protect from phishing, what I would suggest is, first of all, install some filters, spam filters or phishing filters that are there in the market, that are very open source and free of cost. And second of all, do not click on the link. They can either send you some email attachments that you install on your system, and then virus happens into it. Virus comes inside it, and they will have all the information about your computer and what you are storing inside your computer as well. So that is also one thing. Okay, so the next attack that everyone must be knowing about is man in the middle attack. So man in the middle attack, it occurs when an attacker interprets a two-party transaction, inserting themselves in the middle. From there, cyber attackers can steal and manipulate data by interrupting traffic. Now, this type of attack usually exploits security vulnerabilities in a network, such as unsecured public Wi-Fi, to insert themselves between a visitor's device and network. The problem with this kind of attack is that it is very difficult to detect, and the victim thinks the information is going to a legitimate destination. Phishing or malware attacks are often leveraged to carry out a man in the middle attack as well. So as you can see in the pic, we have a original victim, and he goes to a website, and in between, some hacker or some man in the middle attacker sees what kind of websites he is going, what kind of transactions he is doing, so he can see all of that. So that is exactly what man in the middle attack is. The next type I have is denial of service, DOS attack, or DDoS attack, that is distributed denial of service. So it works by flooding systems or servers, or it can also flood networks with traffic to overload resources and bandwidth. So this results in rendering the system unable to process and fulfill legitimate requests. In addition to denial of services, there is also distributed denial of service that is there in the pic as well, and it is mainly done using bots or botnets. So these are the systems that keep on sending requests to a website or to a system, and it blocks it. So whenever, as you can see in the pic, we have a bot master. Bot master is no one but a hacker. He creates many bots at a time, maybe 100 or thousands or 10,000s, and then he commands all the bots to go on a certain website. So what happens is, when there are too many requests that is going to a website, that website hangs. And when some common user like you and me try to visit that website, so we will not be able to do that. So that's exactly what denial of service is, and how websites are hacked. Okay. So now let's move on to the next type of attack that we have is SQL injection. So everyone knows about SQL injection. They must have heard about it. So let me tell you what exactly it is in technical terms. So this occurs when an attacker inserts malicious code into a server using structured query language, that is SQL, full form of SQL. It forces the server to deliver protected information. So this type of attack usually involves submitting malicious code into a unprotected website, comment, or search box. So secure coding practices, to protect you from cyber attacks, you must be doing all secured coding practices like prepared statements, parameterized queries, or effective SQL injections. You must always do that. So when your SQL command, as you can see in the pic, when a SQL command uses a parameter instead of inserting the values directly, it can allow the backend to run malicious queries. Moreover, the SQL interpreter uses the parameter only as a data without executing it as a code. So that's why you should always learn about SQL queries and how it works. So basically what you see in this pic is there is a malicious hacker. He goes to a website, and whenever you try to log in into it, you have a login ID and a login password. So there is a database for a website that it matches with. So what if you don't put the values, you put some SQL queries inside it. So that means here he is putting any username or any password and he is getting the admin access. So that's how SQL injection runs. We have to learn about SQL queries and how databases works. So that's how we can get into the website and get all the data that is there inside the database. The next type of attack I have is viruses. So viruses infect applications attaching themselves to initializing sequence. The viruses replicates itself, infecting other code in the computer system. Viruses can also attach themselves to executable code or associate themselves with a file by creating a virus file with the name such as .exe extension, .bat, anything that is visible to the user. And it creates a decoy and it carries a virus. So we have four types of viruses. The first one is Trojans that everyone knows about. It's a program that is hiding inside a useful program with malicious purposes. And so a Trojan doesn't replicate itself. It is commonly used to establish a backdoor to be exploited by other attackers. The next type of virus that I have is worms. So these are not exactly similar to viruses. They don't attack the host, being self-contained programs. They propagate across networks and computers. So worms are often installed through email attachments, sending a copy of themselves to every contact in the infected computer email list. They are commonly used to overload an email server and achieve a denial of service attack as well. The next type of virus is ransomware. So it is a type of malware that denies access to a victim data, threatening to publish or delete it unless a ransom is paid. So it's very much self-explanatory. The advanced ransomware uses cryptoviral exhaustion, encrypting the victim's data so that it is impossible to decrypt without the decryption key. So that's all ransomware is. The last type of virus that I have is spyware. So it is a type of program installed to collect information about users, their systems or browsing habits, sending the data to a remote user and all something like that. So the attacker can then use the information for blackmailing purposes or download and install other malicious programs from the web as well. The next type of cyber attack that I have is password attack. So passwords are most widespread method of authenticating access to a secure information system, making them an attractive target for cyber attackers. So by accessing a person's password, an attacker can gain entry to confidential or critical data and systems, including the ability to manipulate and control said data systems. So password attackers use variety of methods to identify an individual passwords, including use your social engineering, gaining access to a password database. It can be testing the network connection to obtain unencrypted passwords. So it can be any method. So I have the four most popular method that is there to hack any password. The first one I have is brute force attack. So if a password is equivalent to using a key to open a door, a brute force attack is using a battering ram. So that's how brute force works. So a hacker can try 2.18 trillion password username combinations in 22 seconds. And if your password is simple, your account could be in that crosshairs as well. So that's why never make your password simple. The next type of attack is dictionary attack. So it's a type of brute force attack. It can be a type of brute force attack as well. So they rely on a habit of picking basic words as a password, and the most common of which hackers have collated into cracking dictionaries. So, more sophisticated dictionary attacks incorporate words that are personally important to you, like a birthplace, child name, or pet's name. It can be anything that is closer to you. The next type of attack that password attack has is credential surfing. So, if you have suffered a hack in the past, you know that your old passwords were likely leaked onto a disreputable website. So, credential surfing takes place, like it takes advantage of accounts that never had their password changed after an account break in. So hackers will try various combinations of former username and passwords, hoping the victim never changed them. So that's how credential surfing is, and that's how you should always change your passwords after 3-4 months. So the next type of password attack and the last form is our keyloggers. So keyloggers are a type of malicious software that are designed to track every keystroke and report it back to the hacker. So typically a user will download a software. There are a lot of softwares for keyloggers on our websites that is also free, and it notes down all the keystrokes that is there, and it tells the hacker. So that's how keyloggers work. So make sure you never have a keylogger on your system, or whenever you go to another systems, they don't have any keyloggers. Okay, so the last type of attack that I have is rootkits. So people must not be knowing much about rootkits. Let me tell you some interesting thing about rootkits and the technical knowledge of it. So rootkits are installed inside legitimate softwares, which then can gain remote control and administration level access over a system. The attacker then uses the rootkit to steal passwords, keys, credentials, and retrieve critical data. Since rootkits hide in some softwares, once you allow the program to make changes in your operating system, the rootkit installs itself in the system. It can be a system, host, network, server, it can be anything. If you allow a software that has a rootkit inside it, it will install itself. It should not need any access. And it also remains dormant until the attacker activates it or it's triggered through a persistence mechanism. Rootkits are commonly spread through email attachments and downloads from insecure website as well. So make sure your websites are also the websites that you are visiting are always secured and good for you. So that's it about my side, guys. If you have any other types of cyber attacks that are there, put them in the comment section below and let us know which topic we can do next, and what else do you know, do you want to know about cybersecurity, so I can make more videos like this. Okay, that's it, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Lakshay and I am a research analyst at Scalar Academy. Apart from this, I am a cybersecurity aspirant, so I am here to share my knowledge about penetration testing. So, without wasting any time, let's get into the topic. Yeah, so let's start with our agenda points. So, first of all, I'm gonna tell you what exactly is penetration testing and how do people perceive it and how you should see it. After that, I am going to tell you what are the skills that you acquire after you learn penetration testing or after you start doing all these things. After that, I'm going to tell what are the phases of penetration testing with all the methods, which methods we use for penetration testing, and what are the steps that we do during all this period. And after that, the most interesting point, how much is the salary for a penetration tester? So let's see our first topic. So what exactly is penetration testing? So a penetration testing, or we also call it as pen test, is an attempt to evaluate the security of an IT infrastructure by safely trying to exploit vulnerabilities. So these vulnerabilities may exist in operating systems, services, or any application flaws, any configuration that company has done, or any end user behavior as well. So such assessments are very useful in validating the efficiency and defensive mechanisms, as well as end users to adhere the security measures and to increase the security of a company. So, penetration testers perform simulated cyber attacks of a company's computer system and networks. These are all authorized by the company, and these tests help identify security vulnerabilities and weaknesses before malicious hacker can have a chance to exploit them. So, penetration testing is typically performed using manual or automated technologies depending on the organization. It can be done on servers, endpoints, web application, wireless networks, network devices, even mobile devices, and other potential something like that. So, once these vulnerabilities have been successfully exploited on a particular system, testers may attempt to use the compromised system to launch subsequent exploits at other internal resources as well. The deeper you go, the more data you can extract from all these devices. So after this, let me tell you what are the skills that are acquired. These are only the major skills that you acquire related to technical things, not soft skills. Soft skills are usually communication and reporting, all that stuff. But this is purely technical. So first of all, we have mastering the command line interface. So if you notice that the modern hackers and series, the hackers always use black box on the screen with text going everywhere, but in reality it's a little bit of cliche, and hackers and penetration testers are alike, and they use command line interface a lot, as command line directly interacts with the kernel and it is very easy to hack into the systems. So the most commonly tools are normally command line based, as I discussed, and it's not just showing off, but it's the most efficient way to do our jobs. If you want to become a penetration tester, you need to be at least comfortable with DOS or PowerShell prompt or terminal access. The best way to develop this sort of skill set is to learn how to write DOS batch or PowerShell scripts. These are various command line tools that make the life of a penetration tester very, very easy. So, learning to use those tools and mastering them will enable you to open pen test and environment very, very efficiently for any company. The next concept that we have and the next skill that you acquire is mastering operating system, all the operating system concepts. If you look at penetration testing or hacking sites and tutorials, there's a strong tendency to lose Linux. If you start with something like Ubuntu, Mint, or Fedora or Kali as a main operating system and try to spend some time tinkering under the hood, or it may help you become more familiar with the environment. Setting up a virtual machine to install and break into a Linux server is a great way to learn it. You wouldn't expect to be able to comfortably find and exploit file permission weaknesses if you don't understand how Linux file permissions work. Nor should you expect to be able to exploit the latest vulnerabilities very comfortably and effectively without understanding how they affect a system and how they work as a system. So, a basic understanding of Unix file permissions, processes, shell scripting, and sockets will go a very long way. The third one that I have is you should master networking protocols and all the packets at a very basic level. So let me start with TCP/IP. It seems really scary at first when people start to learn it, but basics can be learned in a day or two. While breaking into you can use packet sniffing tool called Wireshark to use what's really going into the send traffic or receiving traffic end. So you can blindly accept any document or any behavior or any sort of file that comes into it. You cannot see accept it blindly, and you know what exactly that is. You will also need to know not only how HTTPS works over the wire, but you will also need to understand document object model, that is DOM, and enough knowledge about how backend work, and further understand of web-based vulnerabilities and how they occur and how we attack them and how we secure them, all these things. So you can become a full penetration tester after learning these huge volume of things, but you will struggle in the starting, and it will be very less rewarding as a career when you start it. But when you learn all these skills and when you acquire it while doing your job as well, it gives you a very big fruit and a very big salary package as well. And the last one I have is programming skills. you should always master it. If you can't program, then you are at a risk of losing out any candidates who can. At best, you are possibly going to lose money from that starting salary. And why is that? So, you would require sufficient knowledge in programming language to understand the source code and find vulnerability in it. For instance, if you know PHP and how it interacts with a database, will you be able to exploit SQL injection, right? Your prospective employer is going to need to give you time to learn these things if you are going to get the most out of it. So don't steal money from your career. Learn to program, and it's really not that hard. You just need to know how exactly program works so that you can find vulnerabilities inside it, and after that exploit it. So after this, let me take you to penetration testing methods. So exactly we have five methods. The first one we have is external testing. External penetration tests target the assets of a company that are visible on the internet. For example, the web application itself, the company website, it can be email and domain name servers, something like that. The goal is to gain access and extract valuable data and as much as you can. After that, we have internal testing. In this internal test, a tester with access to an application behind its firewall simulates an attack by a malicious insider. So, this isn't necessarily simulating a rogue employee. A common starting scenario can be something like employee whose credentials were stolen during a phishing attack. It's a very basic thing, right? But this is an internal attack. The next one we have is blind testing. So in a blind test, a tester is only given name of the company or name of an organization that's been targeted. So this gives security personnel a real-time look into how an actual application assault would take place. So you will have no knowledge about the company or the employees and you have to hack into it. So that is a blind testing. After that, we have double blind test. So in a double blind test, security personnel have no prior knowledge of the simulated attack. Like he's going to attack into an organization and he has no knowledge about its network, its computers, and how they work, its routers, nothing. So as in the real world, they won't have any time to share up their defense before any attempted breach. And final one we have is targeted testing. So in this scenario, both the tester and security personnel work together and keep each other appraised of their movements. This is a valuable training exercise that provides a security team with real-time feedback from a hacker's point of view. And this is very important for all the companies. After this, let me take you on to the phases of penetration testing. So it is done in five phases. The first phase we have is reconnaissance. So in this phase, the security researcher collects information about the target. It can be done actively or it can be done passively. Actively means you are collecting information by sending a request directly to the target and interpret it. And passively means you are collecting information without contacting the target. It can be either from Google or Bing or any other websites. It helps security firms gather information about the target system, network components, active machines, open ports, and access points as well. This activity can be performed by using information that is available in public domain and using different tools. After that, when you have all the knowledge about the company, you have scanning phase. So this phase is more of a tool oriented rather than performed manually. So penetration testers runs one by one different scanners or together all the scanner tools that are there inside our hacking environment to gather more information about the target. So before you did an information and information gathering using Google and external things, now you do using all the tools. For example, if I take Wireshark, you can see what kind of traffic to a company it's coming and something like that. So by using scanners, one more example I can give you is war dialers. That is a computer program used to identify phone numbers or port scanners, network maps, vulnerability scanners, all these things. They collect as many as vulnerabilities that they can that can help into an attack to do into a target. After you are done with everything, you need to gain access. So this is the actual phase where penetration testers tries to establish a connection with the target and exploit the vulnerabilities found in the previous phases. So exploitation may be buffer overflow attack, maybe denial of service, DOS attack, session hijacking, and many more. So basically, penetration testers extract information and sensitive data from servers by gaining access and by using different tools. After you gain access, you obviously have to maintain access, right? For maintaining access, penetration testers tries to create a backdoor. It helps penetration testers to identify hidden vulnerabilities in the system. So after you do all these things, you also have to clear all your tracks. So when you hack into a company, you have to clear all the tracks, right? So that company cannot identify from which IP address it came from and who did this. So in this phase, penetration testers tries to remove all logs and footprints, which helps the administrator identify his presence. So this helps penetration testers to think like a hacker and perform corrective actions to mitigate those activities. So next up, after you learn about everything about phases of hacking, let's see what are the tools that we use. So first is very obvious, that is Kali Linux operating system that we use, and all the tools inside Kali Linux, we use every tool to hack into a system. So I'm going to give you few examples that are most popular and that are most common that people use nowadays. So first of all, we have Wireshark, Metasploit, and John the Ripper. So Wireshark is an award-winning network analyzer and it was written by 600 authors. So with this software, you can quickly capture and interpret network packets. The tool is open source and available for various systems including Windows, Solaris, FreeBSD, and Linux. We have few benefits of Wireshark, that is it can provide both offline analysis or live capture options as well. It can also capture data packets that allow you to explore various traits including source and destination protocol. Second one that I have is Metasploit. Everyone must have heard about Metasploit and creating viruses, right? If you have not heard, I'm gonna explain you. So Metasploit is the most commonly used penetration testing method. So it Metasploit helps professional teams verify and manage security assessments. It improves awareness and arms of empowers defenders to stay a step ahead in the game. It is very useful for checking security and pinpointing flow setting up on defense. An open source software, this tool will allow a network administrator to break in and identify fatal weak points. Beginner hackers who are starting their hacking as a career can use this tool to build their skills as well. This tool provides a way to replicate websites for social engineers as well. For John the Reaper, it's a password cracking tool. So it is the most prominent vulnerabilities. Attackers use passwords to steal credentials and enter sensitive systems. John the Reaper is an essential tool for password cracking and provides a range of systems for this purpose. The penetration testing is an open source software. You can find it anywhere, and it can automatically identify different password hashes as well. It discovers password weakness within databases as well. It can also discover passwords of different operating systems like Linux, Macintosh, Hash Suite, and Windows as well. After that, I have three more tools that are very important. We have AirCrackNG, Nessus, and SQL Map. So AirCrackNG, everyone must have come across this AirCrack. It is designed for cracking flaws within wireless connections by capturing data packets for an effective protocol in exploiting throughout the text files or analysis. So this tool is supported on various operating systems and platforms with support of WEP dictionary attacks as well. It offers an improved tracking speed compared to most other penetration tools and support multiple cards and drivers as well. So after capturing WPA handshake, this suite is capable of using a password dictionary and statistical techniques to break into WEP. That's really amazing, guys. And after that, we have Nessus. So Nessus has been used as a security penetration testing tool for 20 years. 27,000 companies utilize this application worldwide. The software is one of the most powerful power testing tools or penetration testing tools on the market, with over 45,000 Cs and 100,000 plugins. Ideally, suited for scanning IP addresses, websites, and completed sensitive data breaches or searches as well. This tool is straightforward to use. It is very easy. You just have to click some buttons and it offers accurate scanning at a click of a button. It provides overview of network vulnerabilities as well. And SQL map that everyone must have heard about in their life, SQL map or SQL injection. It is an SQL injection tool that is done for hacking databases of a website. So it is supported as a database platform include MySQL, SQLite, SQL Base, DB2, Access, MS SQL, PostgreSQL, and everything that is there to manage databases on a website. It is also an open source, you can download it from anywhere, and it automates the process of exploiting database servers and SQL injection vulnerabilities as well. So after you know all these tools and this seems very interesting, after that I have the last topic, that is the salary of a penetration tester. So, penetration tester is like a cybersecurity expert or an ethical hacker. And in India, its salary is for the beginners who start their career in this, they have 3.5 to 5 lakhs per annum. And when they get experience from 5 years to 10 years, their salary increases from 15 to 25 lakhs per annum. And similarly, in USA, when you start your career, you will have $87,000 as your starting salary. And for experienced, after you get experience of 5 to 10 years, you will have 138,000 US dollars as your base salary. So that's it from my side, guys. If you have any questions regarding this, you can put them in the comment section below, and do let me know what are the next topics that we should do while doing about the cyber security. Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Lakshay and I am a research analyst at Scalar Academy, and I am an ethical hacker aspirant. So today I am here to share my knowledge about how to become an ethical hacker and what are the steps you can take to become an ethical hacker. So let's start off with some basic introduction. So defensive and offensive cybersecurity pursuits have been described using terms such as white hat hacker and black hat hackers. So these nicknames were used to distinguish the good guys from the bad guys. While both these terms are still commonly used, at least one of them may not be adequately descriptive of the various roles found in today's modern cybersecurity ecosystem. Although a black hat hacker is still just a bad guy, the good guys are now better described using expressions such as ethical hacker and penetration testers. Now, so before we begin the session, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon for further notifications. And I have a question for you guys. Like how I am making how to become ethical hacker right now, you must be wondering how to do your job role or how to become a different job role, such as data scientist or machine learning architect, something like that. So do let us know in the comment section what do you want to become and how to make video on that and on which video we should work on next, right? So let's start off with the session. Now let's say today's agenda first of all. So starting with, I'm going to explain who is an ethical hacker and what are his job roles and how does he work in a company. After that, skills required to become an ethical hacker. So what are the skills you need to become ethical hackers, soft skills and technical skills both. After that, I'm going to tell you the certifications through which you can become an ethical hacker. different type of certifications starting from beginner level to advanced level. And finally, the most interesting part, how much a ethical hacker earn on a daily basis or on a monthly basis. So let's start with our first topic. Who is an ethical hacker? So an ethical hacker, also referred to as a white hat hacker, is an information security, or we call it as infosec, expert who penetrates a computer system, network, application, or other computing resources on behalf of its owners and with their authorization. But organizations call on ethical hackers to uncover potential security vulnerabilities that malicious hackers could exploit. The purpose of ethical hacking is to evaluate the security of any organization and identify vulnerabilities in target systems, networks, or system infrastructure. The process entails finding and attempting to exploit vulnerabilities to determine whether unauthorized access or other malicious activities are possible or not. So, an ethical hacker is given wide latitude by an organization to legitimately and repeatedly attempt to breach its computing infrastructure. This involves exploiting known attack vectors to test resilience of an organization infrastructure posture. So that's how an ethical hacker works. And what is ethical hacking? Okay. After this, let's move on to skills required for an ethical hacker. So first of all, before skills, I want to tell you guys that bachelor's degree in computer science or information technology or any related field is a must to begin your career. After that, let's move on to soft skills. The first one is problem solving skills. It is to determine the source of a problem and find an effective solution. Apart from technical skills, an ethical hacker must also be a critical thinker and dynamic programming solver. They must be wanting to learn new ways to ensure all security breaches are thoroughly checked. This requires tons of testing and ingenious penchant to devise new ways to solve any problems. The next one we have is analytical thinking. Hacking requires a creative and very analytical mind. Ethical hackers need to be able to reverse engineer security frameworks, come up with new ways to break into a network, and something like that. This also requires thinking outside the box. Like social engineering is a common technique for both white hat and black hat hackers. It uses psychological techniques to gain access into restricted areas as well. The next soft skill that we have is communication. So communication skills are very important in just about any profession that we go in this world, right? And ethical hacking is no exception. You may need to present technical security information to a variety of stakeholders, answer non-technical questions, or you can just translate the technical knowledge into business value, or develop or write policies and build strong professional relationship with your CEOs or your managers. You may also need to take a role in security advocate, that means promoting security practices to diverse audiences. So all these activities combined require verbal and written communication. So that's how important communication is. Next, and the most important we have is teamwork. Solving security problems does not happen in vacuum, nor do they have all the answers, right? You are often working in a team, collaborating with peers or other stakeholders, and seeking other people's expertise to find solutions. So, because of this, you need to learn how to build consequences as well as cultivate relationships between different teams, and how do you work and how do you approach using those teams. So, part of the ability to collaborate and work as a team comes from being an excellent communicator and problem solver. But you also need good people skills, an open minded attitude, and patience, among other things as well. So these are the soft skills that makes a ethical hacker a good ethical hacker. After that, I have some technical skills. The first one is computer networking skills. So this is one of the most important skills to become an ethical hacker. The computer network is nothing but the interconnection of multiple devices. Generally, we term them as hosts, and they're connected using multiple paths to send or receive data or media. So understanding networks like DHCP, supernetting, subnetting, and many more will provide ethical hackers to explore the various interconnected computers in a network, and some potential security threats that this might create, as well as how to handle those threats. So next we have computer skills or handling computers or operating systems. So knowledge about computers and ability to which allow to use computers or related technology is very important. So typically basic computer skills include data processing, managing computer files, and creating presentations. Advanced computer skills include managing databases, programming, and running calculations in spreadsheets. So, some of the most computers essential skills are MS Office, spreadsheets, email, database, social media, enterprise systems, and many more. So, an ethical hacker need to be a computer system expert, and he should know about all operating systems like Windows 7, Linux, Mac, Kali Linux, all the operating systems that exist. And apart from that, Linux, he should be very good at Linux. So Linux is a community of open source Unix like operating system that is based on Linux kernel. It's a free and open source operating system, and the source code can be modified and distributed to anyone. Either it can be commercially or non-commercially. The main reason to learn Linux for an ethical hacker is, in terms of security, Linux is more secure than any other operating system. It does not mean that Linux is 100% secure, but it has some malware for it, but is very less vulnerable than other operating systems. So it does not require any antivirus software as well. After this, ethical hacker should also need to learn programming. So it's a important skill for ethical hacker. So what does the word programming in computer world actually mean? It means the act of writing code understood by a computational device to perform various instructions, right? So to get better at programming, he has to write a lot of code. Before he can write a code, he has to choose which programming language is best for him. So we have some programming languages that ethical hackers should know, like SQL, C, C++, Java, JavaScript. I'm not saying he has to be an expert in it, but he should know how to do it. Suppose you are hacking into a website and you don't know how a SQL work or how a database works. So how are you going to hack it? So that's why knowledge about everything should be important for an ethical hacker. So finally, I have social engineering. So social engineering is a process of convincing people to disclose confidential information. It depends on the fact that people are unaware of their valuable information and are careless about protecting it. So before performing a social engineering attack, an attacker gathers information about target organizations from various resources such as its official website or maybe employee's ID from his name, email address, and whatnot. There are many ways to gather information. So after this information gathering, the attacker executes social engineering attacks using different approaches like piggybacking or reverse social engineering and techniques like that. So after that, let me tell you what job roles do you have in ethical hacking. So first of all, we have security architect. He designs, build and implement computer security network for an organization. So he also holds the responsibility of building up complex security structures and ensure its effective functioning. Next, we have security consultant. So a security consultant is also a cybersecurity expert. So they are responsible for identifying cybersecurity risk, problems, and they come up with solutions. How can we solve these problems? They guide ways to protect physical capital and data. The next one we have is Chief Information Security Officer or CISO. He is considered as most powerful in the respective department. CISOs are responsible for building security teams, overseeing all activities related to the security of an organization, and he directly reports to the CEO or in charge person. After that, we have Computer Systems Engineer. So he is a professional who updates, modifies, he can install, test software or programs and hardware devices in a computer system. He is also involved in designing and planning data communication systems for computer networks such as LAN, WAN, MAN, intranets, and WAN, something like that. After that, like how I described these four, responsibilities are all the same, but we have information security analyst, penetration tester, and chief information security officer. The same thing that we have just now, they all have the same responsibilities but with a different name. After this, let me get into the certifications. How can you go into ethical hacking and how can you do certifications? So first of all, I have CH. You guys must have heard about CH, that is Certified Ethical Hacker. So this certification teaches you how to think and act like a hacker. So topics in these certifications cover hacking technologies, the latest vulnerabilities, information security laws and standards. Students are put through real-time scenarios, exposed to hacking techniques, and finally taught how to scan, hack, and protect their system at the same time. This course benefits security professionals, site administrators, and anyone concerned with network security. So, after doing this certification, you will have an edge towards penetration testing jobs as well. The next certification that I have for you guys is CompTIA Security. It's a general level certification for those who are new to cyber technology or cybersecurity. It requires 2 years to complete it. It covers the IT concepts like network threats, defense techniques, effective security policies, network and host based security practices, disaster recovery, encryption and decryption, and all their standards and products. After that, we have CCSP, that is Certified Cloud Security Professional. So it's a traditional IT security protocol do not work in cloud environment, right? So this certification gives IT professional who want to work in cloud computing a deep understanding of cloud architecture, its design, operations and services. So it needs 5 years of prior experience before we do the certification, experience in any IT industry. This certification covers domains like cloud architecture, design, data, security, cloud platform, IES, PaaS, SaaS, legal and compliance, and all topics like that. After that, I have ECSA, that is EC Council Certified Security Analyst. This certification is similar to CH certification. This certification gives you an understanding of hacking tools and the latest technologies. This certification is suitable for network server administrator, information security testers, firewall administrators, risk assessment professionals, and many more. After you know how to start with ethical hacking, you should know how to continue with it. So for this, I have advanced certifications. First, I have CISSP. Many IT organizations consider this certification as an essential requirement for network security. It is a vendor independent certification and can be applied to a wide variety of setups. This certification requires prior experience of 3 to 5 years, and once completed, it is one of the best knowledge assets you can have. So this covers domains like access control, cryptography, telecommunications, networking and whatnot. After that, I have CHFI, that is Computer Hacking Forensic Investigator. So this is an advanced cybersecurity certification for forensic network security investigators. It enables you to gather the necessary evidence and prosecute offenders in a court of law. The hacking forensic investigator is responsible for analyzing attacks, extracting information, and report hacking crimes and conduct audits to prevent future crimes. This certification covers incident response and forensics, recovering deleted, encrypted, or damaged file information, technical examination and analysis, and finally reporting of computer-based evidence. Next we have CRISC, that is Certified in Risk and Information Security Systems, that is Certified in Risk and Information Security Control. So it's an enterprise risk management qualification for professionals looking for extending their knowledge and experience of IT, business risk, identification and implementation of business systems control. CRISC is one of the first certifications which help to improve IT professionals for real world threats. It adds a higher value to employers and clients in risk assessment and management, fosters continuous of knowledge, and up-to-date information. The next certification I have is very famous, that is CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor. This certification focuses only on information auditing. CISA certified professionals have good audit experience and can manage vulnerabilities. It too requires 5 years of prior experience as well. Students gain expertise in domains like information systems auditing, IT management, and governance and protecting information assets. So after I am done with all the certifications, let me tell you what is the salary that you get after these certifications. So I have divided it into India and USA. So first I'm going to tell in India for beginners it's 3.5 to 5 lakhs per annum when you start with any certification and you complete it. After that, when you get experience from 5 years to 10 years, you get 15 lakhs per annum to 25 lakhs per annum. While in USA, when you start with these certifications and you complete it, your salary is $80,000 to 90,000 US dollars per annum basis. After you get experience of 5 years to 10 years, your salary will become $120,000 to $130,000 after you get experience. So that's it about this session, guys. If you have any questions regarding this, put them in the comment section below, and let me know what else do you know about ethical hacking and what do you want to know. That's it from my side, guys. Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Lakshay and I am a research analyst at Scalar Academy. I am a cybersecurity aspirant and now I'm here to explain you what are the common cybersecurity questions that we have in interview processes and how do we clear them and what are its answers. So first I'm going to tell you about normal subjective questions that they might ask, and then we will move on to multiple choice questions. So let's start on with the video. So the first question we have is, what is CIA or what is CIA triad? So it is a basic principle. The CIA model is intended to help organizations. So before I tell you the exact answers, I would request you guys, if you know its answer, just pause the video and then put your answers in the comment section, and after that you can see whether your answer was correct or not. Alright, so let me tell you the answer for it. So what is CIA? So CIA is intended to help organizations to develop policies for their information security architecture. One or more of these principles has been broken when a security breach is discovered. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability are the main concepts of CIA triad. Confidentiality is same as privacy and it prevents unauthorized access to data. It entails ensuring that the data is only accessible to those who are authorized to use it, as well as restricting access to others as well. It keeps vital information from getting into the wrong hands as well. Integrity is a principle that ensures that the data is genuine, correct, and safe from unwanted threats, actors, or unintentional user alterations. If any changes are made, precaution should be taken to protect sensitive data from the corruption or loss, as well as to quickly recover from such an incident. Availability is a principle that ensures that information is constantly available and helpful for those who have access to it. It ensures that system failures or cyber attacks do not obscure these accesses. Alright, so now let's move on to the second question. What is XSS? You guys must have heard about XSS once in your lifetime. So basically, XSS is a cross-site scripting. It's a web security flow that allows an attacker to manipulate how users interact with the susceptible applications. It allows an attacker to get around the same origin policy, which is meant to keep websites separate from one another. Cross-site scripting flows allow an attacker to impersonate a victim user to execute any actions that the user is capable of. All of these is explained in the image that is below the answer. If the victim user has privileged access to the application, the attacker may be able to take complete control of the app's functionality and data. So basically that is what XSS is. Moving on to the third question, what is a firewall? Now this is a very basic question that you must know about the cybersecurity when you go for an interview. So a firewall serves as a barrier between a LAN and the internet. It allows private resources to remain private while reducing security threats. It also manages both inbound and outbound network traffic. A sample firewall between a LAN and the internet is shown in the PPT as well. The point of vulnerability is the connection between the two. At this point, network traffic can be filtered using both hardware and software. Moving on to the next question, what do you mean by botnet? So botnet, many people must not have heard about botnets, but it is very useful when you do ethical hacking as well. So a botnet is a collection of internet connected devices such as servers, it may be PCs, maybe mobile phones, etc. are infected with malware and controlled by it. It's used to steal data, send spam, launch distributed denial of service or DDoS attacks as well, and provide the user access to device and its connections. So that is what a botnet is. Moving on to the next question, and this is, you will be coming across this question when you go for cybersecurity interviews. That is, differentiate between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Now, people usually have a confusion between both of them because we do vulnerability testing in penetration testing as well. So, to give you a clear picture of the difference between both of them, so look at this diagram. We have two diagrams. In vulnerability assessment, we have question mark, while in penetration testing, we have exclamation mark. That is the difference between both of them. So let me explain you what exactly these two things mean. Vulnerability assessment is a process for defining, detecting, and prioritizing vulnerabilities in computer systems or maybe a network architecture or any other applications, as well as it also provides the necessary information to the organization to correct the flaws. While in penetration testing, it is also known as ethical hacking. It's a method of identifying vulnerabilities in a network, system, application, or any other networks. After this, it is the most commonly used to supplement a web application firewall in the context of WAF, that is Web Application Security. So that is the basic difference between both of them. Moving on to the next question, what do you mean by brute force attack? Now again, I'm telling you guys, if you guys know these answers or you want to know more about them, you can put them in the comment section so that I can help you guys. So moving on to the answer, a brute force attack is a cryptographic assault that uses a trial and error approach to guess all potential combinations using the correct data when it is discovered. This exploit is commonly used by cybercriminals to gain personal information such as passwords, login credentials, or maybe encryption keys or ATM pins, anything like that. It is very easy for hackers to implement it because it's basically we use all forms of passwords, all combination and permutations of all the keys on the keyboard, and we get the result. So the next question we have is, what do you mean by phishing and how do we exactly prevent it? So many of us must be knowing what phishing is and how do we prevent it, but in any way you will be asked in any interview what exactly this is. So in technical terms, phishing is a sort of cybercrime in which the sender appears to be a legitimate entity, maybe such as PayPal, eBay, financial institutions, or friends and co-workers as well. So they send an email, phone call, or text message to a target and or a target link to convince them the link is very legitimate. So this link will take users to fake websites where they will be asked to enter sensitive information, maybe personal information, banking information, credit card, social security number, username, passwords, anything. You can protect yourself by phishing by using some guidelines. So the first guideline that I have for you is, don't give out important information on websites you don't know. Suppose you are going to a website and they ask a credit card detail and you don't know what that website is and how they put their database into it. So you should not put your information on that. Check the site security as well. Is it HTTP or HTTPS? Make use of firewalls. There's always a firewall in your system that can take you to the internet and can tell which website is fake or not. You should always use a toolbar for anti-phishing. Okay. So moving on to the next question, what is VPN? This is also one more basic question and very important question when you are into a cybersecurity interview. The term VPN refers to a virtual private network. It enables you to connect your computer to private network, establishing an encrypted connection that hides your IP address, allowing you to safely share data and access the web while safeguarding your online identity. Now you guys must be knowing that what VPN is and how to use it. But here I am telling you about the basic technicality and how you should answer any cybersecurity interview. A virtual private network or a VPN is an encrypted link between a device and a network via the internet. The encrypted connection aids in the secure transmission of sensitive data. It protects against illegal eavesdropping on the traffic and allows the users to work remotely as well. In corporate settings, VPN technology is most commonly used. Okay, so this is the basic technical definition of VPN. So you should try to use always a technical and very basic definition of any topic that you are asked in interview questions. After this, I have an interesting question for you guys. This is very technical side. Which is more reliable, SSL or HTTPS? So you guys must be wondering what is SSL or what is HTTPS. So first let me tell you, SSL is a secure sockets layer, is a security technology that allows two or more parties to communicate securely over the internet. To provide security, it works on top of HTTP. It works as a presentation layer as well. If you know what SSL is and you know what HTTP is, so let me tell you what HTTPS is. That is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. It is a combination of HTTP and SSL that uses encryption to create a more secure surfing experience. The working of it involves the top 4 layers of OSI model. Do you know OSI model, guys? So we have 7 layers inside it. So it works on the top 4 layers, that is application layer, presentation layer, session layer and transport layer. So in simple terms, when you are asked what is HTTPS or SSL and what is and how do they use into an internet, you can always say we always combine HTTP with SSL to get HTTPS. Alright, so moving on to the next question, what is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption? So in encryption we have two different things, that is symmetric and asymmetric. So let me tell you the difference between both of them. So in symmetric encryption, both encryption and decryption can be done using just one key, while it takes two keys for asymmetric encryption. One is given to the public and one is a private key. In symmetric encryption, it is very fast, while asymmetric encryption takes time because it has two keys. Symmetric encryption, when a huge volume of data must be transferred, we use symmetric encryption, and when small amounts of data we transfer, we use asymmetric encryption. So symmetric encryption uses very few resources from asymmetric encryption as well, because it uses only one key. It gives you transfer of data very fast, so the number of resources that are used are very low in symmetric encryption, while in asymmetric it is much more than that. The ciphertext in asymmetric encryption is same as the small plain text, while ciphertext in asymmetric encryption is greater than a plain text, and it can be used for many purposes as well. So two examples that I can give you in symmetric and asymmetric encryption is AES, DES, or in asymmetric it's DSA and RSA. You will learn about these encryption when you start learning cybersecurity. As of now, this will be the answer to this interview question. Moving on to the next question, what is IDS? So IDS or IPS, it's intrusion detection system. So it can scan and monitor network traffic for signals that attackers are attempting to infiltrate or steal data from your network using a normal cyber threat. IDS systems detect a variety of activities such as security policy violations, malware, and port scanners by comparing current network activity to a known threat database. Moving on to the next question, we have similar, what is IPS? The first one was intrusion detection system, and the second one we have intrusion prevention system. They are located between the outside world and the internal network, and they are in the same area of the network as a firewall as well. If a packet represents a known security hazard, a IPS will proactively prohibit network traffic based on a security profile. The fundamental distinction is that IDS is a monitoring system, whereas IPS is a controlled system. So IDS makes no changes to network packets, whereas IPS blocks packets depending on the contents of the packet. So that is the basic difference between IDS and IPS, and whenever you are asked, you should always try to explain using technical terms. Moving on to the next question, what do you mean by network sniffing? Now this is a very common term, sniffing, that everyone uses, and sniffing is a technique for evaluating data packets delivered across a network. This can be accomplished through a use of specialized software or hardware. Sniffing can be used for a variety of purposes like capturing confidential information such as password, listening to on-chat messaging over a network, keeping an eye on data package as well. So as you can see in the pic here, we have a sender, we have a receiver, and in between we have a network sniffer who is reading all the messages. The next common term that we have is, what do you mean by ARP poisoning? So what exactly is ARP? ARP is an address resolution protocol. So ARP poisoning is a sort of cyber attack that uses a network device to convert IP addresses to physical addresses. On the network, the host sends the ARP broadcast and the receiver machine responds to it with a physical address. It is the practice of sending bogus addresses to a switch so that it can associate them with all the IP addresses of a legitimate machine on the network and hijack traffic. As you can see in the pic here, we have a victim, we have a network access point and the internet. So we broadcast everything to all the machines through a switch, and that's how ARP poisoning happens. Moving on to the next question. What do you mean by domain name system attack? You guys must have heard about domain name system or DNS. So DNS hijacking is a sort of cyber attack in which cyber thieves utilize weaknesses in a domain name system to redirect users to malicious websites and steal data from targeted machines. Because the DNS system is such an important part of the internet infrastructure, it poses a very serious cyber risk. So as you can see in the pic here, we have a user, we have a DNS server, we have an attacker, malicious website and a legitimate website. So the user goes to the DNS server, even the attacker goes to the DNS server, he sees what the user is seeing, which website he is going on. According to that, he makes a fake website. Suppose he makes a fake Facebook web page, and when the user tries to go into it, he puts his username and password. The attacker can see everything that is going on here. Moving on to the next question. We have multiple choice questions now. So 15 questions we had, normal subjective questions. Now we have multiple choice questions. The first question we have is, what kind of malware is designed to take advantage of security hole before it is known? The four options that you have is ransomware, spyware, zero day and Trojan horse. Now before I answer this question, I want you guys to pause the video and then put a comment in the comment section, and then you can see whether you answered correct or not. Okay, so let's move on to the answer. The correct answer is zero day. The next question that we have is, which of the following cannot be considered in cybersecurity threat intrusion phases? So as I explained in IDS and IPS, which is not considered as a cybersecurity threat? We have weaponized, exploitation, alliance, reconnaissance. Now this is very simple. Correct answer is exploitation. The next question I have is, which of the following describes a situation in which a person is constantly followed or chased by another people or person or a group of people? So I have four options: identify threat, stalking, phishing or bullying. If you guys don't know what other thing means, you can also ask me in the comment section and I can tell you guys what exactly these terms mean. Okay, so in this case we want an answer where it is followed or chased by other people. Okay, so the correct answer is stalking. Moving on to the fourth question. Dash can be a software program or a hardware device that filters all data packets sent over the internet, a network or other networks. The four option I have for you guys is firewall, cookies, antivirus or malware. And the correct answer to this is, it's a firewall. And this is a very basic thing, guys. Everyone must have guessed it right. It's a firewall. Moving on to the fifth question. Which of the following best describes the method for ensuring the message's integrity? If you are sending a message to anyone, which ensures that the message is encrypted and no one can see it? Is it decryption algorithm, message digest, protocol, or digital signature? The correct answer to is message digest. Moving on to the sixth question, which of the following is most commonly used in the Wi-Fi hacking process? The four options that you have is Norton, Wireshark, AirCrack-NG, or it can be all of the above. Any guesses? The correct answer is AirCrack-NG. Moving on to the seventh question, on which of these Nmap does not perform a check? Now Nmap is a tool that is there in Kali Linux and it is a network sniffing tool. So in which of these scenarios he does not perform a check? Is it the services that different hosts provide, the firewall, the operating system, or is it the antivirus? The correct answer is on an antivirus, Nmap never perform a check. Moving on to the eighth question, which of the following is true about Wireshark? Now you guys must have heard about what exactly Wireshark is. If you don't know, it is a tool for sniffing on Kali Linux. So which of these four things are true about Wireshark? Is it a network connection security tool? Is it a connection analysis tool? Is it a defending malicious packet filtering tool or network protocol analysis tool? The correct answer is it's a network protocol analysis tool. It's a sniffing tool. So we cannot defend using it, we cannot connect it, or we cannot secure from it. Moving on to the ninth question, WebInspect is unable to perform which of the following attack based checks? Is it directly traversal, parameter injection, cross-site scripting, or injection shell code? The correct answer for this is injection shell code. Now this is a bit more of a technical into cybersecurity. When you go and learn about all these things, you will definitely get an answer to it. Then moving on to the 10th question, which of the following is a popular tool used for network analysis in multi-protocol diverse networks? Let me repeat the question. Which of the following is a popular tool used for network analysis in multi-protocol diverse networks? This is a bit more of a technical. Is it a Snort, Burpsuit, EaterPeak, or Superscan? Though now Snort, Burpsuit, these all four options are tools that from which we use penetration testing or ethical hacking. So we want to know which is a popular tool. The correct answer is EaterPeak. It is a tool that is used for multi-protocol diverse networks. The next question, which of the following is not a higher layer of SSL protocol? So SSL has a different set of protocol. Which one is not a higher layer? Alert protocol, handshake protocol, alarm protocol, or change cipher spec? The correct answer to this is alarm protocol. It's a low layers SSL protocol, rest all three are high layered. The 12th question that I have is, the domain name system or the DNS is maintained by which of the following? Is it a single server, single computer, distributed database, or none of the above? It's definitely not single server, but the correct answer to this is distributed database. HTTP support which of the following? HTTP, not HTTPS. So HTTP supports basically proxy server. It cannot support proxy domains or proxy documents. Moving on to the 14th question, which of the following refers to the violation of principle if a computer is no more accessible? Is it access control, confidentiality, availability, or is it all of the above? Remember the first question, guys, that was CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, availability. So it is related to that. So which of the following is a violation? So the correct answer for it is availability. If a computer is no more accessible, that means it is no more available for the service. So that's why availability. The 15th and final question that I have for you guys is, in ethical hacking and cybersecurity, there are dash types of scanning. The options I have is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Any guesses? The correct answer to this is 3. So in ethical hacking or in cybersecurity, there are 3 types of scanning. We have port scanning, network scanning, and internet scanning. So that's it from my side, guys. If you have any questions regarding this topic, you can put them in the comment section below. If you have any doubts, anything about interview questions, you can tell me about it as well.